Welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. This is Chris from Movies and Munchies. Hooray! And Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. Hooray! We are back talking about the things that most entertained us this week, from YouTube channels to movies to TV series to skits. Whatever we found visually entertaining, this is the platform to talk about it. Don't forget, we have a Patreon that's going strong. We have a very entertaining video segment we're going to talk about later. We also are doing our podcast section where we're going to talk about entertainment news and things that we're looking forward to, and possibly, you know, anything else that might just sneak in there when our tangents get going. And if you've been watching or listening to our podcast for a while now, you know that tends to happen.
We are good at the tangents.
We are. Start off talking about a movie, end up talking about apartheid. Yeah, sometimes I think I get too serious for my own good. Grumpy Ruben comes out.
Oh, well, Grumpy
but
Chris
welcome.
can come out too.
If this is your first time, welcome to the bearded ones, which this isn't. That's our Patreon, but we are bearded. And if this is your recurring time and you're excited, you're sitting down with a cup of tea or a beer or a drink or a meal, you're sitting around the family meal and you're listening to this podcast, then this is family friendly mostly, so you can do that. Chris, have you got a question for us?
I do, and it's funny that you say this is mostly family friendly, because this, well, anyway,
what's
I hope
the
you're not
question?
eating.
Oh,
yeah, I hope you're not eating while we discuss this. But where is the strangest place you've ever urinated?
Oh, wow. The strangest place I've ever urinated. I mean, I've peed in in South Africa you called it the veld, like the bush a lot, because there's just a lot of bush. Because
okay.
a lot of suburbia ends in tall grass, like you'll have your houses and then there's lots of fields and stuff. I'm just trying to think, like, where would be the strangest place that I've peed? Yeah, I don't know. How about you? That's a tricky one. I mostly pee in toilets, Chris.
Yeah, well, yeah, mostly. The strange ones, actually, most of them happened at the exact same night, and that was because I was extremely intoxicated. It was my bachelor party, and I drank like a fifth and a half of vodka by myself.
Right.
Anyway, it was a lot. But so I peed in the middle of a bowling alley parking lot outside. I had to go right then, drop trowel. Well, I didn't really drop trowel, but and just let it go. My friends, who were the no good friends, and family, who actually were the ones that were supplying all the alcohol, they just kind of like, what the crap? Okay. So they made kind of a barrier around me just so I didn't get arrested. But yeah, and then
Nice.
we got home, and I guess because it was late and there was two cars full of guys, and most of them had not been drinking. I was really the only one that was drinking, because that would be more funny for them. And so when we got home, cops had followed us. And so I couldn't get out of the car, even though I had to pee, because they were afraid I was just going to say something. I'm not a mean drunk. I'm not an angry drunk. I'm a funny drunk, at least to myself. I just tell a lot of jokes and I laugh a lot. But the cops were like, what are you doing? Whatever. Where are you going? Answered all the questions. We could open up the garage door. So they were like, okay, you're at home. Fine. And they left. As soon as they leave, I get out of the car and I stumble my way over to the side yard of my parents' house. And I just pee all over the fence because I had to go again so bad. You broke the seal, had to go. But yeah, so public urination, that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking intoxication, that's probably where most of the pee stories would come from, because most of the time you have your wits and you can hold yourself. But I think I've been on a few trips where I can think of one in London, and I must have been pretty young, 17, 18, being introduced to alcohol for the first time, like properly, because before then I would drink a little, but not much. But the British, and especially the youth, you know, the one thing they're going to teach you to do, well, the three things they're going to teach you to do is drink, smoke, and have sex. And yeah, two of those they taught me very quickly. So yeah, smoking. It took me years to kick the habit of smoking, but drinking. I remember the long hour journeys to London, like on bus, because you couldn't always afford the train, so you would take like the night coaches, and already being drunk, already needing the loo, and then you jump on, but you only have like £3 for your journey there and back, and you don't want to get off the bus because. But I do remember wearing white jeans. I don't know why I owned white jeans, and needing to pee really badly. And I'm pretty sure there was some leakage there by the time I got old. So if you take the yellow stain and white jeans, and then the jacket I was wearing suddenly was wrapped around my waist. That's an embarrassing story. Yeah.
I think though, because this is probably what, early 90s for you when you're around that age. Is that right?
Late 90s.
Am I doing late? Oh, okay. It would be early 90s for me. But we all at one point in that little era there, I think we all owned white jeans. I don't know why.
I look back and I go, really? Come on, man. What are you doing? You're better than this.
Well, I also had a mullet, so what are you going to do, you know?
Mullets are fine. They're coming back, Chris.
Make
mullets great again.
No, they were never great. They need to not be a thing ever.
I'm gonna champion mullets. Yeah.
Okay, you do that.
Okay. On that note, should we get stuck into some of the best things that we watched this week?
I think so. Yeah. You want to start? You want to kick us off?
Yeah. Okay. So this one is a fairly serious one. And it wasn't one that I was expecting to even talk about or mention. But after having watched it, I thought, you know what? I'm going to talk about it because it's actually a really important topic at the moment. It's I believe you used your VPN recently to watch Channel 4.
Yes.
Derry Girls, which I know you're enjoying. But there's a whole kind of section on documentaries that they do very well. I think UK documentaries are very good, mostly because they tend to really just say how it is, and you're going to get to the truth, and it's not going to be as unbiased as possible. This one, there's a lady called Davina McCall who... I guess she's fairly well known in the UK. She's a presenter, does lots of like TV series as an actor, but she talks about sex myths and the menopause, and just kind of breaks down the whole kind of, especially in the UK. I don't know how it is in the US, but the negativity that women have had to suffer because of menopause or pre-menopause as well. And having, I think Kirsten, I think it should be fine with me saying, but I think she's in pre-menopause, and, you know, and they're trying to demystify it and make it okay for women to talk about it, and also women just not to get fired because they have menopause, like in jobs that seems to be a thing. And so the more I was watching this, the more I was just like, this is terrible, and what they go through. It was just a really entertaining, quite short doc, but out of what happened from when that televised, so many people have been talking about it in like the zeitgeist and news, and just thousands of women in the UK saying, this is what I'm struggling with. Thank you so much for talking about it. Now, you know, I have more questions, but you answered so many. I didn't know there was actually medication, and it was okay to talk about. Like, it was such a real subject that just hit on the now. And I think sometimes docs, they just hit it just right. It's like, yeah, that's something that we need to talk about. So in the workplace, so it says the television presenter describes her own menopause journey, busting the myths surrounding the transition and dispelling the shame and fear around hormonal replacement therapy. We were like, we had no clue. Like the amount of times my jaw was like, really? Or that's how many people suffer from it? Or this is what happens to women that have that in the workplace? As is like, you know, there are times when you're just disgusted being a man. When it comes to like equality, or the amount of money, or like you get this because you have a penis sort of thing. I was just like, this was one of them. I was just like, I'm just going to sink a little bit lower into my seat. I'm sorry, Alex. I just thought it was really good. And somehow they managed to just knock on the head and go, here you go. Here's one that actually questions that we need answered.
Well, that's cool that it also has become begun a national discussion where it's opened up. You know, a lot of the time, I mean, like a lot of the documentaries that I see happen, you know, most of the time they tend to be true crime stuff, which that's just because I think that's what sells a lot. Yeah, but it doesn't really open up too much of a discussion. I mean, maybe around that specific topic, but typically not too much like in the broader general populace. And so that's pretty cool that this has an actual impact like that, so that people can really begin to ask questions, bring it up, and become enlightened through it. And that was fun. Nice.
Yeah. So it wasn't fun, but it was revealing.
Informative, engaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Nice. Well, continue on Channel 4, you know.
Are we going back to Derry Girls?
Yeah, well, you know, my kids came over last night, my oldest son and his wife, and they, after we told them about Derry Girls, we had sat down and we watched a little bit of it on Netflix. They went home and binged the whole 2 seasons. And so we were talking about, and they were talking about how they loved it and stuff. And so we were behind in season 3. And so last night we kicked it open and we were all current now. I think there's only 1 episode left, but I got to tell you, if you have not started Derry Girls, even if you're just, you know, starting out and it's on Netflix, seasons 1 and 2, I mean, every episode I'm laughing out loud. And this 3rd season is no different. And we see some of the characters beginning to mature a little bit. Not much, but even the storylines, you know, they're certain things like beginning to happen and you're like, ooh, I kind of like this, but I'm not sure. And there's tension there. But anyway, it's short attention span because it's only, you know, 20 something minutes.
They're not long episodes, are they?
No, they're not. But what's really cool, at least for us, because I'm an American watching truly British television, we're seeing all the British commercials. And so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's different, isn't it?
You know? Yeah, except there was one, the funniest thing, because it plays here, it's an eHarmony commercial. And the only difference is the voiceover is done by somebody British. That was it. The whole commercial is exactly the same.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have some, I mean, we were watching some of them last night. There's this one for Crowns Bank, Kings Bank, I don't know, some type of bank over in the UK. And it felt like a fragrance commercial because there's like these huge, massive black stallions just running through the countryside and then through. Yes. We're like, what the crap is this? And it just,
because their logo is a black stallion. So that's that's why it's because you can trust this beautiful beast. They're majestic but strong. They can
trample you at any point.
Don't mess with them because we're a bank. And if you don't do your housing repayments, we'll take your house. Sorry, that got a bit dark there again. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's the thing that I've been just, you know, we get little insights here and there because we are considering, I mean, we talk about it at least a lot here about, you know, maybe relocating to the UK. It's going to happen
at some point. I hope so. I mean, we you know, we're looking at Scotland again. I got my DNA results back, and they updated it, and I'm more Scottish than I was before. And still
how did you end up being more Scottish?
Well, because they read things, and like I'm less Irish than I was. Right. Like
did you eat some haggis?
As they fine tune things? No, I did not. I think I drank some more scotch, but not didn't eat the haggis. Okay. No. Ugh. Oh goodness.
Nice.
Okay, but yeah. So what else do you watch?
I guess we'll keep it British, but I think it's an American-made series, but it feels like it's a BBC series. There are 8 episodes in this new series, but 3 dropped this week, and it's called The Staircase. It's got Colin Firth. So, I mean, that's the reason why I clicked on, and then I saw who else was in it. I was like, dang, okay, wow, this series is stacking up the cast. But, okay, so the synopsis reads, in December 2001, writer Michael Peterson calls to report his wife Kathleen has fallen down a set of stairs in their mansion and died. But as the days follows, a murky story begins to unravel, which places Michael as the killer, starring Colin Firth. Man, like, I literally, in the first 3 episodes, have no clue if he did kill his wife or if he didn't. And I think that's the story that's going to keep you guessing, like, the whole way through. Like, I feel like there's an undertone of evilness from him. And I feel like because of some of the things that they reveal within the first 3 episodes, they're like, yeah, this dude, there's something. And I'm like, but there's got to be more to the story than this. There's 8 episodes. And I think the story gets explained with the family, because the family is really complicated because there's multiple marriages with kids on either side. And that gets really complicated. And it's all about the court case. What can they prove? It's about the cops that are very biased towards this guy because he's a reporter that's been reporting against the stuff that's corrupt in his hometown. And so also he's got a weird American accent. Even though I think his character is British, he does have an American accent. So I don't know where that comes along.
No, he's American. He is American.
He's American. Okay, fine. But they talk about.
Or he's playing an American. I mean,
he's playing American. Okay.
They live. Yeah.
The mansion is crazy. There's lots of things that I think I know what's going on, and then I don't. It's well filmed, it's well acted, but I'm finding at the moment, now that I've seen the 3, quite frustrating. So I think it's spectacularly acted, and I trust the writer and I trust the people on screen, but I'm just not sure if it's going to have that fruition I want it to have.
So I watched it too.
Okay, cool.
And so I agree. The acting is phenomenal. I mean, the cast is good gravy. I mean, so you have Colin Firth, you have Toni Collette, Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan.
Parker Posey.
You got Schwarzenegger, the son.
Yeah, his son. Yeah. Okay. So my biggest issue with this is I have seen the documentary.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. So this is a true story then. Okay.
So you know the documentary crew that they introduced, the French documentary crew that they introduced in the HBO series. Yeah, that really happens. So this documentary, it's on Netflix. It might be on. It's called The Staircase. Also,
okay.
It came out, I think, last year or 2 years ago on Netflix. So my issue with the show, the fictionalized retelling of this, is that I've already seen it.
So you've seen the documentary, you know the reveals.
I know, yeah. Because here's the thing: they have so much access. The documentary crew follows them everywhere. They are, so while the beginning of the movie or the show is good. And it's compelling because it's before the documentarians get there.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's different. Yeah.
So I felt more like I'm trudging through this and just rewatching everything that I've already watched. And you know what I mean? Like it's because I've seen it and heard the things from those people's mouths.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's So it's made it more difficult for me to really get in to the HBO the series, even though, like, if you look at it, it's beautiful.
It's the acting it's so well put together.
Yeah, they do. I mean, like, if I hadn't seen it, I would be riveted. I mean, I would be, foaming at the mouth almost to find out what's going on, especially as things begin to be unveiled. And you see in the first 3 episodes how they have that sheet over the staircase where there's the blood and everything. Yeah, that's only because it's only a couple months since that happened, which is still horrifying that is still in their house as is, months after the tragedy happened, it gets worse. And so
it gets worse. The story gets worse. Great. Yay.
Yeah. It's just, and it's very engaging. I mean, it is, and it's a long documentary, but it is,
it's a long series, eight episodes. It feels like, I don't know where it's going at the moment. It just feels like they're drawing it out. Like, how much more story could there be? But by what you're saying, there is more to tell.
There's a lot, and you have so much from Peterson himself in the documentary. And I agree. It's hard to, there's points where you're like, he is totally guilty. And then there's other points like, wow, there is no way in the world that he's guilty.
Wow. Okay.
Because of how things are revealed and told, you're like, ooh, okay. And I think the show is beginning to give a little bit of glimpse into some of that, because they'll show a character in the future, which is closer to present time. And then they'll show it again in the flashback where they're in a different role.
Yeah.
So okay. Anyway, it's definitely, if you've never seen the documentary, I really think watching this series on HBO is something to do. If you have seen the documentary,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had no clue that was a thing. Okay. So what's next on your list then?
You know what? Outer Range concluded this week.
I see. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to watch that. I'm going to catch up this weekend.
Cool. Well, yeah, I will stay away from spoilers. I talked about spoilers in my review, but I enjoyed that it gave us some answers. It revealed some things. And
so it's
some
not
of the
finished?
things that, no,
there's more to come.
Not even.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I could see them doing minimum one more season, if not 2 or 3.
Because I just didn't think they'd get him back.
They better, because of how it ends, they better have gotten the whole cast back.
All right.
Because it's not at a point where you're like, oh, okay, we can end here. I mean, this is kind of like mid OA. Like, you're just like, what? No, you're half the story
it's too
here.
Soon.
So
it's too soon, Chris.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think, well, I think Amazon is going to continue it. I would be very shocked if they don't. I mean, I think this might be kind of more of a sleeper hit for them. It's so intriguing and it's so engaging. And I think the word of mouth is really what's going to begin to draw people in, and you're going to get more and more people coming in. I have seen a lot of comments. People are not happy with the finale. They're more disappointed by the show. And I found myself, because I looked at it and approached it as a modern Western. I expected the entire pace to be much slower, much more subdued as we go along. The inclusion of all the sci-fi is
a bonus.
It is, because it's and the way they haven't explained all the rules yet either. That's
right. Okay.
So I can see that as a frustrating thing, but they give us more answers, and mostly through visuals, which I really appreciate. That they're not, they're not spoon feeding it to us. They're not explaining it through exposition. They're really just showing us things, and I think that's also what causes the frustration, because they're not actually talking about certain things yet.
Yeah.
So, but that's I'm excited for you to finish up and to see it and see what you think, because I had fun with it.
I just hope it's not another Lost or like that other series we recently watched, which I love from, but I don't want to go down another. We don't know what we're doing.
I get more of the sense in this that they do know. Maybe that's just me hopeful, but they haven't introduced like all kinds of craziness. You know what I mean? Like in From, they kept adding things to it.
True.
This one, they're pretty much maintaining what has. They're just showing us different aspects of what we already have seen. And so that's what gives me, I think, a little bit more confidence, because we get to see, well, it appears that the writers do have a goal in mind, at least a central direction
That's
that
good.
we're traveling.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I think we've come to that time in the show where we talk about Marvel. Should we talk about Wanda? And notice I said Wanda and not Doctor Strange.
Yes, we should talk about WandaVision season 2.
Because as much as I love Doctor Strange, it's totally Wanda's film. Okay, so we're going to talk about the movie, kind of do a review, and then do spoilers. We'll give you a heads up. There's a lot to talk about in the spoilers because there's so many kind of Easter eggs and things that have gone into this film.
Yes.
Can I just say, again, cinema experience, not great. I think I'm almost done with cinema now, unless I'm going very, very early, or that I'll check how many people have sold. I'm just fed up with people and being people. Like, that seems to be the way people are. They don't care about anybody else around them. So I'm just like, enough. Okay, I'll just wait for things to come home or go to press screenings. But other than that, sorry, cinema, but I'm almost done with you. Having said that, love the film. I've seen a lot of negativity. I was surprised by how split the audience seems to be on this one. I don't think people remember, like, because Sam Raimi hasn't actually done a film for a while. I think it was like 9 years, almost 10 years. Sam Raimi has a unique way of doing film. If I were to like rate my top 5 Sam Raimi films, they'd be really weird. It would be From Hell, not From Hell, the one with the person that gets cursed, and the gypsy woman curses her, and then there's this button that's cursed, and they got to survive within 3 days. It's very Evil Dead. Yeah, that would be up there. It would be Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, probably Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man 2 would be like, that would be my quick top 5. But he hasn't done many other films. If you go back to his original career, like when he first started there, it's some films you probably haven't even heard of. And he's done mostly like TV episodes in between those like 9 years, but features, it's been a while. So I was like, yeah, someone actually took a chance. Not that's taken a chance in Sam Raimi, but I think because Spider-Man has been so popular, people went original trilogy, bring Sam Raimi back. Let's see what Sam Raimi does with the Book of the Dead, which is the equivalent of the Darkhold here, right?
Yes.
Which brings me to, if you've seen the film, you'll know Bruce Campbell's in there. Man, I was just like, there were too many people that weren't smiling and laughing when Bruce Campbell, because I was just like, are you uncultured, you uncultured heathens, you Philistines? Go and watch some Bruce Campbell stuff, man, because seriously, it was so great. Just that moment, I was like, woohoo, Sam Raimi movie. Here we go. I haven't talked about the film yet, but tell me your quick thoughts on the film. I just did like a synopsis on Sam Raimi.
Yeah, yeah. I had fun with it. I took my son. We went to a press screening, and the more that I dived into it, the more I discovered issues with it. Now, it didn't take away my fun from the movie. Okay, that was the thing, that it was. The horror aspects, the Sam Raimi-esque portions of it, I thought were great. And yeah, you're right. Yeah. If you're a fan of Sam Raimi, or if you're just even familiar with him, you will see nods here and there to several different things of just that has his fingerprint on them. It was great. As far as a Doctor Strange movie, I was a little shocked because it's not what I had in mind when I went into it. I thought it was going to have maybe some ties to like more of what we saw in No Way Home, with Spider-Man, or maybe including some of what we saw through the Loki series, where he meets Kang, and the whole multiverse thing there. This comes about, even it made me laugh. The synopsis on IMDb is not totally correct. Let me read it to you really quick in case, I don't know if you saw it or not, but it it's oh gosh, let me see here. Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff.
That's not what happens.
That's not entirely accurate there. No.
That's
no.
not what
and so
happens. That would be inaccurate.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that's where I'm like, that's not helping people's expectation going in, and I think that's where I think I've seen a lot of maybe some split of this, is that it's not what you expected. It's different.
You see, because I think they were selling it as the movie that's going to connect the multiverse. Like, we've had teasers, like you mentioned, Loki, Wanda. We've had all this. Everybody's talking about the multiverse, Spider-Man. We've seen the multiverse now, and with the little teasers of the trailers, we were thinking that the story was going to be Doctor Strange in the multiverse fixing some sort of bad, perhaps Kang, like you mentioned. I was hoping it was going to be that. So I would definitely say I was disappointed with that. But I think that comes down to marketing. And I also think that Sam Raimi, I don't know if there was this whole conversation with him coming late to the project. So the story was kind of there already, didn't really have much say. So he just got given the project and he had to do what was. So he put his Sam Raimi-ness on it. Now, like when you're talking about the horror aspects of it, it's brilliant. And I'm so surprised they were able to get away with the age rating they did. Cause some of it, I was like, well, even though there's not that much blood, what was happening was, all right. Fair enough.
I agree. Yeah. There's, you're like, whoa, the body count is actually,
it's got to be the highest.
People don't meet good ends.
I would say it's not the highest because people, like with Thanos, disintegrated. But like maybe in an individual that's not the wrapping up of 18 movies. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it was just way more brutal. Lots of nods to Evil Dead, things like that in the film, which was great. The conversation that happens with another character. Now I can't talk about that, spoilers.
Okay, we'll wait for that for a minute.
we'll get into that.
I think from a visual standpoint, it was also a little bit mixed. Like the opening sequence is chaotic. And it took my brain a little bit just to figure out what's going on, because the movie we are like mid-action when it begins. It's almost like, was it Civil War or Ultron? Maybe it was Ultron, where we're just like, we catch the Avengers in mid-action where the movie
Guardians
opens up.
Volume 2 kind of does that as well.
Yeah, so there's, it's kind of an exciting way to begin, and then it pulls back a little bit and then introduces us. Well, the second big action sequence, that one, while it's a lot of fun, the CGI in that one was not what you would expect, I think, from a Marvel movie. It had some wonkiness to it. It had some I don't know, that feels fake, which, of course, we know it's fake because of this, just what's going on. But when it looks fake also in certain aspects, that's where it becomes like, oh, it broke me out of it at that point. But okay, so I've listed a lot of negatives. There were moments in this where we gasped audibly in good surprise. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was like, oh, and you're like, woo.
But do you think this is sorry, I think because we have some delay now, we're talking over each other. No, do you think this is now a Marvel tactic that they're using when the film dips and they need to make people talk about their new film? It's like fan service. So we're like, Spider-Man is great, but we're not so sure this is as good as we think it is. Here, have this person jump in. And you're like, hey, that's so good. Do you remember when? Because did feel like fan service. Although I was beaming with a huge smile. That's so cool. And you totally can do that with the multiverse. I still expected another 10, 15 minutes in the multiverse. I wanted to see them play in the multiverse. And we didn't get a lot of multiverse.
You're right. It for a movie that's called that, it was shocking that it didn't have as much. I really enjoyed, there's a point where they're traveling through the multiverse. And those visuals I thought were a lot of fun because of all the different things that you see. Yeah. And it's not like we needed to spend a lot of time there because we didn't. But I do agree that once we land in a spot, there's really not much multiverse that actually occurs within this. I mean, there's a couple of visuals, and even when you think about like the visuals that they have, and I think it's shown in like the trailers and some stills and stuff, but like Wanda sitting there with like some floating orbs around her that are just kind of red. Those are supposedly the multiverses. Well, that's not very many, you know? I mean, shouldn't it be like, just like, I don't know, like confetti exploded around you? It should be. You know, and then you can kind of, like, you zoom in and then you pull out. And
I expected when Professor X is in his room and he goes into his mind machine and you see him connecting to everybody and it goes poof, and expands and he's connected to every single. It should be like that with universes.
Yeah, where you see all of those people just everywhere, right? Yeah, that it felt like they made it smaller than what it
absolutely
should have been for that. Yeah.
I feel like,
I don't know. I mean, I still had fun with it.
We're talking pretty negatively towards it, but I really enjoyed it. But there's a lot that I had
fun,
not expecting from it.
I think because I was talking with my son about this, who went with me, and we're discussing it, especially on the car ride home and stuff. And the first time I saw Doctor Strange, like, I loved it coming out of the theater. Like, I was really excited by it and everything else. A few months later, the thought of rewatching it was much lower on the priority. Like, it was like, I don't know if I want to see that again. Then after a little bit more time, I actually went back and I just sat down and I put it on and I watched it. And I was reminded of why I enjoyed it so much. And it actually made, like, I appreciated it more because there were things in there. I'm like, actually, this is a really good and well-crafted story. Like, I'm enjoying it. I think it's actually better than what I originally thought it was, but for different reasons. I mean, you go in, that first blush it's all about emotion, right? You got a high from it, or it was exciting. There was some cool moments in there. Sure, there's negatives to it also that you're like, that didn't work or whatever. So I'm at this point with Doctor Strange 2 that I'm on that high still. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a great ride. I wish it was longer. I wish it was a lot longer.
There was a 2 hour and 45-minute cut.
Really?
Yeah. And then it was cut to 2 hours. But it makes sense. It feels like it's missing content.
Yes, exactly. And I think I would love to see the 2 hour and 45 version. Maybe when it comes to Disney or when it comes to 4K or something like that, they'll put in the extended edition, because I would love to see that version, because I do feel, that it's missing some stuff. Now, I'm curious at when I go back to revisit this, what's my feeling going to be? My guess is, because I'm a Marvel fan, I love the MCU. I go and I watch it and I have fun with it. So I will still get enjoyment out of it. But is this going to be one, once I go back to rewatch it, that I'm like, no, but you know what? I'd rather watch this MCU movie than this one. Or is it going to be like, no, hey, you know what? This was still a lot of fun. Yep, there's all these problems over here. Going to ignore them because I'm in the moment and I'm in the zone. And for what it is, it's a lot of fun. So I'm kind of in that in-between stage,
Yeah, no, I feel that. I think that's correct. There are some MCU films where I go back and I enjoy it more. And the more I watch them, the more I enjoy them, which I think that proves it's the quality of the film. And for me, like you, Doctor Strange was one of those. The more I watch it, the more I find in it. before we talk spoilers, I should mention that everybody listening, to everybody watching, we're going to be doing an MCU tier list, ranking them, both of our separate tiers. We're going to include the series, not all the movies and not all the animations. We're doing Loki, Wanda, all of those new ones that kind of fit into the MCU world, not including the Netflix stuff that has just come on there. So the contained MCU, which I think is canon. Okay, so we're going to allow everybody that watches, and we appreciate you. We're going to put those up on our separate channels just so you can see what we get up to on Patreon. And then if you feel like supporting us, that will mean the world to us. But thank you for joining us and watching us here anyway. Okay, spoiler warning.
Yes.
Let's talk about the spoilers. It's actually very hard to talk about this film without really spoiling much, because there are moments you want to talk about, from beginning, from the Darkhold. That is all spoiler territory. And, I even had stuff spoiled before I even went into the movie, because just people are like posting everywhere, which is annoying. Big outlets like discussing film. Because I had watched the one trailer, so I hadn't seen that Patrick Stewart was in like the teaser, and they just posting like everywhere on Twitter, like, yeah, Patrick Stewart doing the blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, that's so annoying. And they should know better. Anyway, we should know just to go black on when a Marvel film comes out. Just ignore the world for a couple of days until you've seen the film.
Yes.
But spoilers,
yes.
I think cameos are the easiest things to talk about.
Yeah.
100% believe that John Krasinski was fan casted.
Totally. I'm not sure there's actually going to be a Fantastic Four movie. But
yeah, I'm the same belief.
But that was, I was really happy when he, that was the one that I was just mentioning where we all went, oh, yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Well, and then Peggy Carter as Captain Carter.
Such a great outfit, and the shield design I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, directly out of What If, which I thought was cool. I wasn't a big fan of that series, but but her in that role I thought was that was outstanding. The one black. Yeah,
the Inhuman, the leader of the Inhumans. Yeah.
Yes. He's played by the actor Anson Mount, who was in Hell on Wheels, which that's a wonderful series. I love that series. But I was unfamiliar with him completely. Super powerful, and he's
ridiculously powerful. Yeah.
Which is why he wouldn't speak and everything. But then oh my gosh, the end when his
Wanda does a Matrix.
yeah, and his mouth disappears, and it's just like, oh, you.
I mean, that fight scene when Wanda encounters the Illuminati, which was a terribly rushed storyline. They'd introduced the Illuminati, and then they just destroyed them, and that was it. I was like, the Illuminati need their own set of films. Never mind a sequence, but fine, okay. Again, the thing that I think they were doing fan service for, they're almost putting too much in the movie and not concentrating on the areas that they should be concentrating on. Okay, enough moaning. Wanda meeting these guys, and you're like, oh, so now she's been serious. Now we get to see how strong she actually is. And if you're thinking about, she's fighting Captain Marvel, who has an Infinity Stone power. She's powered by an Infinity Stone. Doesn't have the whole stone, but is imbued with the power of an Infinity Stone. You have the leader of the Inhumans, who can disintegrate you with the slightest whisper, because it gets stronger and stronger. If you read the comics, he's crazy powerful, which is why he's the leader. You got the Shield, the Captain America, but not Captain America. You have the Supreme Wizard in this realm. What's his name? The Sorcerer is Supreme in this.
Why did his name Chiwetel Ejiofor? But
Ejiofor, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's playing the Nemesis. I'll come back to that point. And then, I mean, Patrick Stewart. Still, even though I knew he was in it, I was just like, oh my gosh, seeing him on screen. But then seeing them die brutally. like they did, I mean, it was dark.
It was. Well, and yeah, even though, like, okay, so let's just go, well, okay, so the Anson Mount here, sorry, I'm trying to remember what his actual name is, his character name.
It's been so long since I've seen the Inhumans.
Black Bolt.
That's it. Black Bolt, yeah.
I mean, okay, so his head like caving in because he started to speak, and then it reverberated through his head when he had no mouth. But Captain Carter, being basically cut in half by her own shield. I mean, that's violent end, but they don't show it. I mean, we see it. We see enough.
We see the we see the shield though, and that's dripping
with blood and stuff. Yeah. Exactly. That was Reed Richards gets
unraveled.
What a terrible way to die there.
Oh.
Well, and I don't buy Captain Marvel being crushed.
Yeah,
by the statue.
I didn't buy that either. Yeah. Can I just point out a massive flaw? For Mr. Fantastic Four there, he's going, we've got Black Bolt here. With one word, he can utter your... And basically just saying, this is the one thing you need to stop the strongest person in our group.
Yeah.
And Wanda goes, cool, thanks. He's a master tactician. He is a genius above geniuses, Mr. Fantastic. And he just like, here you go, defeat us. Like, come on, that's weak.
It is, but you know what? I think it's because we don't, like, people who have never watched Inhumans, like, I didn't know who that character was at all. Yeah. So even though we've seen right before that what he can do, it was, I don't know. Yeah, plot protection there. Just needed, I don't know.
And going back some time, at the end of Doctor Strange, there was an end credit scene where we have the Chiwetel Ejiofor character. He says he's now going to hunt Doctor Strange and all people that have abused the power, right? In this film, Doctor Strange seems to know that's happened. So somewhere along the line, they must have met up and fought each other because he just knows about him in this movie.
Because they were antagonists at the end of Doctor Strange. I mean, that's who he was fighting before he went to what's his name? I've come to bargain. Dormammu. You know, I mean, he's fighting the character. Why can't I remember his name?
No, I thought he was with him.
Mordo.
They were still fighting with them because he was part of the team, and then they were fighting the guys with the bleeding eyes, with the black.
Yes, and then once he defeated that, he didn't. Well, then you're right. He wasn't fighting him, but at the end of that, Mordo leaves because Mordo does not like how Doctor Strange has manipulated time. And he feels that he's broken the. But we don't.
The end credit scene is Mordo saying he goes to the guy that has gone to use the power to not to have a broken spine, and he takes it back, which is the harshest thing ever, and basically says, "I'm hunting everybody and Doctor Strange," and we don't see them interact. We didn't know that he had crossed that line.
Oh, I think he did. I thought it was obvious before he did that with him.
Oh yeah, no. See, I didn't get that.
Oh,
I was just like, and now he's my enemy, my arch nemesis.
Yeah, no.
But in this one, you totally believe it.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, Can we talk about? I got logic problems here. I got rule problems within Multiverse. They don't define the rules at all. Okay.
I think the Loki series isn't in the time, so they basically you got to take that and put it outside of the multiverse.
No problem at all. Let's think about a multiverse. What we see with Doctor Strange in each of the multiverses, he's different. He's still a version of himself, but he's different, correct? I mean, we have the sinister Strange, we have the evil Strange, we have the zombie Strange. Well, like he happens to become a zombie, but anyway, we see all of these multiple versions where he's done different things or anything like that.
Yeah.
When Doctor Strange goes to the mansion that's all coming apart, and he is trying to get hold of the Darkhold. His other version comes down and was like, "How do I know it's you? Prove to you that you're me." And Doctor Strange says, "When I was a boy, my sister, we were on a lake and she fell through the ice and I couldn't save her." Why is that the same for that doctor? He shouldn't know that. They should have different pasts. They shouldn't have all of, and it could happen, but the likelihood of that happening is why. You know what I mean? So the doctor asking it and our Doctor Strange wouldn't. Why would
I understood it that they all had similar life stories. So like, you know, when the woman says, your hands are broken, it's very similarly, like not exactly the same. So I figured that he had lost his sister, but maybe similar. It was similar enough because his response was, "That'll do."
Okay. I don't buy that, but okay. But then why does Wanda, and here's a big thing. Why does Wanda have kids, the exact same kids, in every single multiverse? And because they were created out of her reality stone powers in the town in WandaVision. Why does that happen why does she have all of these kids all throughout?
Because even in that particular universe they were in, Thanos was defeated differently, and so she might not have lost Vision the same way, so she might not have gone through the same pain as to create, because what they're saying is she goes through the same thing in every universe and creates those kids.
Don't you think that's a huge jump in like, I mean,
but didn't the other woman say that she knows, well, Wanda says that she knows that the kids are real in every other universe and hers are fake.
But why would they be real in every other universe? Why wouldn't some of the universes she not have kids? Because
she was just the unlucky one.
I don't know, but
she's felt them there.
I think it's too convenient for the story. I think if you're truly going to have a multiverse where it branches off by decisions, you know what I mean? So what character makes a decision that becomes a huge life change, and then that is forever altered that way, and it becomes, you know, like that's like the one big thing that really bothered me, is because I don't think that they define the rules. Now, if they would have said, for however they wanted to define it, then I would have been okay with that. But because they didn't, my brain goes, well, this shouldn't be this way. That doesn't make any sense if I think about a multiverse, because when I see Wanda as a loving mom with these two kids in all of these other universes, that at least that were shown, but yet Doctor Strange is different in every single one. But
he's only slightly different in every single one. He never gets the girl. Aren't there constants in each universe? I mean, and they've already established that there are anomalies, like the girl that there's only one of.
Yeah.
In all universes.
Yeah,
Technically, she's more powerful than any being we've seen so far, because if there's more Celestials than her, and there's Celestials are the universe creators, and there's one of her in all universes, then what is she?
Yeah. I don't know. Did you ever see Everything Everywhere All at Once? Did you?
No, that's coming out.
Okay. Well, then I think that
coming out next week.
I think that movie does a better job of explaining and putting down rules for a multiverse than this did.
Interesting.
Because that one actually explains what the rules are, and then you go with it. This one, Doctor Strange doesn't explain the rules for the multiverse. It just says that it's there, but I think it's really.
I do think they contradict themselves left, right, and center as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
They establish one thing and then they're doing another thing and another bit. And I guess when you apply logic to a superhero film, you shouldn't be doing that so much. But actually, they ground the characters so that when you get to the superhero stuff, you believe it.
Yeah, and that's where I think it should. I just would have been more satisfied. Like I would have come out loving it, like been like, oh my gosh, yes, it's so great. Had they done that, had they just solidified a little bit of these things to just be like, well, this is how it works, or this is why this is okay, cool. I'm not sold on a particular set of rules. I just want to know what the rules are so that then you stick to them as a storytelling device versus, well, it's convenient for it to be this way in this one, so we're going to use that. But that doesn't really hold up over here, so we're going to go and we're just going to negate those rules and do this over here. So,
yeah, no, I agree. It also had 2 end credit sequences, and again, I felt the end credits were weird. The film ended with the Darkhold being destroyed in every universe, yet he was still infected with the Darkhold's power, and he got his third eye. Well, that's fine because the Doctor Strange character actually needs to have the third eye as we progress further down the storyline with Doctor Strange. But it's weird because the cut scene felt like it was just a bit of a scene that they forgot to cut, that they cut off the movie and then they put it in, because it was almost like he was walking on the street, third eye, cut scene, walking on the street, third eye, person appears from another universe. You messed up our universe, you're going to come fix this. Also, nobody knew about Charlize Theron playing Clea, this particular character.
Yeah. Well, and excuse me, I didn't know who her character was, but the second that it opened up and the world that you see behind her, just the visuals, looked like the area from Doctor Strange, the first one, where he goes and battles with Dormammu. And
yeah, it looks like celestial, well, at least cosmic storyline. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Clea is cousin to Thanos, but also with Dormammu, like she's brother to Dormammu or something like that in the comic books. I don't know. My son was looking it up as we were driving because it was driving us nuts, because we were like, who is she? Because this is what I think it is. But
I guess they're putting to rest. They're fully saying that he is no longer going to be getting involved with the woman that he can never get. Because as far as I know, Clea is the romantic interest in the future, or his wife or something. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. I'm surprised they announced or showed the character's face, because we're probably years away from having another Doctor Strange, which means Charlize, and she's like triple A-list actress. And we were like, you got to come back and do that at some point. So I thought, oh, that was interesting. Weird.
Yeah, yeah. The final end credit scene is completely useless, but it's still fun. I mean, just, with Bruce Campbell,
still fun.
Not, stopping punching himself, and it's like, it's over. Just spiking the camera there, and then
but that's totally Evil Dead 2 though, with the possessed hand and the punching and
absolutely, yeah.
Which is great. And he loves to beat up Bruce Campbell. That's his thing. He loves doing that. So,
because aren't they like best friends?
They maxed out their credit cards. No, yeah. The best friends maxed out their credit cards for the Evil Dead, and they had no budget for stuntmen. So Bruce Campbell's the one being thrown through all the windows and being beaten up, and he loved doing it, just putting his friend through the ringer. Which is why you will. I doubt very much you'll ever see a Sam Raimi project film that Bruce Campbell isn't in. Look for him in the Spider-Man movies. He's in every one of the 3. Hilarious.
This is so good. Yeah. I don't know. Any other spoiler parts that you want to talk about?
I mean, it was great to see Zombie Strange there. And the way they did that, I thought that was probably the highlight of the film for me. I thought it was very well done. The grounding of his body with the woman and the candles, with the Death Eater, the souls trying to claim him through the eyes and then coming out that way, and then him use them, and then he creates this cape out of souls, and I was like, dang, that's cool, that is awesome. I wanted to see much more of that. Like when they finally started fighting wizard fights, magic fights. That's what I wanted to see from Doctor Strange, right? That's what you should get. More of that is what we needed.
Yeah. Well, because even like the one, like I loved it when Wanda went to Camartage and started that fight. You know what I mean? And where you have all the wizards doing the Harry Potter thing, which they're protecting the but then she's able to finally get into one of their minds, and the ripple effect that has. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have all the destruction. And I thought it was really creative for her to use the reflections of the water to get out of that.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was
when she comes out of the bong,
the gong or the shield or whatever,
distorted, and her body's broken, and she's like, I'm like, oh, that is horror, straight up horror. Is great, well done.
Yeah.
And how is this a PG-13?
Yeah, they're pushing the limit at every moment there. Oh,
for sure.
But okay, so we had talked months ago about how there were reshoots for this, and but then it came out. Well, no, these are always part of the process. Okay, fair enough. Did you notice? Like, I didn't notice it at the beginning because I think there was enough separation, but at the end, Wong, his hair, when he climbs back up the mountain after spiking one of those big demon things out in the snow mountain, where where Scarlet Witch has her throne, his hair is longer. When he pops up, I'm like, you look different, but I don't know why. It's really weird. He
was on that mountain ledge for a while.
Yeah, apparently, because then later. Yeah, in another sequence right after that, he has short hair again. And I'm like,
oh no.
See, that's just lazy continuity there. You needed to, either if
it's
he had
also
short
a
hair,
lie, Chris. Because they said that was always part of the thing. It's
totally.
Not, because I watched an interview with what is her name that plays Wanda, a BBC.
Oh, Elizabeth Olsen
interview. Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen yesterday, when she was basically told, well, she hasn't seen the movie. She did her bits of filming. They gave her the bits of script for her parts, and she didn't know like what else was going on. And then she heard that they were doing reshoots, and that was from her. Like, so if she says it, then yeah, that's a load of doo-doo. They definitely did research.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't feel, certainly didn't feel planned. And I don't understand, though, why wouldn't you just look at the footage and either give Wong a wig or cut his hair? One of the two things, whichever it needed to be, to make it...
There's a couple of people on each of these films that is their job, continuity. They sit there with a clipboard, and that's your job. So someone failed.
So, you had one job, and that, well, and I think it's okay when Wong is separated enough by different scenes that it doesn't stand out as much. But towards the end of the film, it was like, here he is with long hair, and then very close after that, here he is with short hair, and it didn't feel like.
If you notice it, then it's not you don't get away with it, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So anyway,
talking about Wong, so. Everybody in Armitage is being killed, like properly killed. One person gets disintegrated by Wanda. Wanda is pissed off because that woman sacrifices herself to kill the Darkhold, right? And she burns up. So Wanda goes and grabs the few people that are left, the underground, but they're still alive. And you tell me where the Darkhold is, or like where, like whatever. You tell me. I know you know about the Darkhold. You tell me about the spells, because you're the Master Supreme. Oh, I'm going to kill these people. And he goes, yeah, okay, please don't hurt them. It was a copy, I'll tell you. And I'm like, character decision after watching all of your people sacrifice them to stop her. You're now going to negate their sacrifice.
Because of these other three people.
I was like, I don't buy that. That I call bullcrap.
Well, and that's like, why wouldn't the Tilda Swinton's character wouldn't ever reveal? I mean, that's how she dies. right? Because she won't, she's fighting till the end, basically, because she won't give up. Yeah,
exactly. She won't stop. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question: is Wanda dead?
I feel like that was a lazy ending for her. It's just pull the rocks on top of her. We can bring her back when we want. There are other Wandas in other universes that one could be good, but
well,
technically, Wanda could wake up and Captain Marvel could wake up and they could go and have a big fight. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we see a little bit of that poof of a red, like that. Yeah, but
does that mean she exploded or she left?
I don't know because see, it's hard to believe that she died because they don't show it. They don't even show a hand. Like think with Captain America, they at least show her hand fall. It's a signal to us that that last blow killed her. I don't buy it, but whatever. But in this, we don't see any of that. You know what I mean? It's a wide shot where we just see a poof. And so I'm choosing to believe that she's not dead. But if lazy either way, I think.
But I mean, either way, they couldn't let her stay out. The people she's killed, there has to be consequences for what she's done. So she could no longer join the Avengers.
Yeah.
She'd have to be put in a prison. So it's probably easier just to write her out. I'm guessing that's what they thought.
Yeah, and she has her redemptive moment there because she recognizes how bad she was and she pulls it all down. So
she is the monster. Yeah.
Okay.
Big gamble though, if she didn't believe that, because she was pretty adamant that she was good. What if she'd be like, "No, you're wrong. I'm killing you all, and I'm taking those kids."
Yeah. Well, and I thought that was a good story moment when America opens up the world so that she can see, so that they can see, and so it can happen that way, And then Doctor Strange, telling him, "Wait, not yet," so that so Wanda gets to see the full ramifications of who she is and her messed up and out of sync self with interacting with these kids who that's not their mom. I mean, it looks like their mom, but yeah.
Oh, can I just say I resent the name America. Come on, America saves all universes again. What are you saying?
America is the greatest country ever. We have no problems. We cause no problems. We are the sparkling light of...
Oh, now you've saved... Not only have you saved the world, but you've saved all universes with one girl.
Well, and is she...
America!
She's from the comic books, right? Is that correct?
I've never heard of her. I've never seen her. Oh, I presume so. I hope they just didn't create her. I presume. And she has like the star. I don't know why every time she punches, it's a star.
Well, because she's America.
But okay.
Why is Cap's shield a star?
Right, because Star Spangled Banner. Yeah. Okay.
So my guess is if she's from the comic books, and she's probably not a newer character. She's probably back from the 50s, 60s, 70s, even, I don't know, something like that. I'm guessing if that's the case, then that falls right in line because it's all, it's very national centric, created by American comic book writers, to highlight how great we are, especially if it's in the middle of the Cold War when this is going on, or heck, even any of the other things. So I can see how that is. But for modern times, it is a little cheeky that you're like,
I just was like, would you get away with going Russia? You wouldn't, would you?
No.
You couldn't. It's just,
South
Africa.
No.
England.
Maybe. So no, exactly. No. It's a
There's Scotland though. Yeah,
I'd definitely be down for that.
Scotland.
Yeah. So,
Okay. I wanted to talk about the final of Moon Knight, Did you manage to catch up on Moon
I
Knight?
did. Wow, what a good series.
Yay. It finally got to where I wanted it to go. I felt like it was taking some time, which is fine. These are characters I think most people don't know anything about. We're dealing with, is it DID?
Yes.
Dissociative
identity
multiple
disorder,
personalities. Yeah. Dissociative, yeah. And that wasn't actually what it was in the comics originally. He just had different personalities. It was only later in the comics that they start actually coming to terms with that's a medical disorder. And so they just lent into that in the series, which I think is fantastic. But as you get into like those final couple of episodes, we start getting some answers. A frustrating episode. Like episode 5 was amazing and frustrating. Like we're in the hospital. They've stalled the story, the arc. You've been introduced to the Hippo God, which was amazing because I just cracked up laughing. Amazing. And then you start seeing some of the supernatural stuff, on her ship, and you got to balance the scales. And so we start delving into why they have split personalities. Brilliant. But then that episode 6, it really, like after we've done the first initial, he's kind of still dead. We don't know how they're going to survive. We get like the action. But we've had 5 episodes to build into that action, so I feel like the payoff is really worth it. But there was a moment I was excited for Egyptians everywhere. There's a moment where I went, yeah, that's awesome. Do you know the moments I'm talking about? Not Egyptian, Israeli, where she gets a costume.
Oh, yeah.
And the girl goes, are you in an Egyptian... Is it Egyptian?
Yeah, it was.
I've been getting this right. Israeli. Are you Egyptian warrior, like a superhero? And she goes, yes, I am. And her costume wasn't like crappy. It was well done. She looked badass. They've already established how well she could fight. And now she has the power of God. And I was like, I've not seen anything like that before. That was very cool. With her wings.
So cool.
Yeah. But when they'd fully embraced their powers, it was nice to see the swap and change from the costumes of Moon Knight. So we have when he's fighting with the sticks and he's embraced who he is and he's like really kicking ass, and then he flicks to, okay, you take this one, and and then he's back to the flying bit. I just thought I had a lot of fun with it. Like it just kept on getting better.
I loved also the gods themselves, especially at the end, where you have 2 fights going on in the background. You have so, and they is this? I guess it's spoilers.
They did the Transformers. We're talking spoilers.
Okay,
yeah.
So as Amit begins to eat the souls, I mean, she grows in size, which I thought was so spectacular. You just watch her getting massive, and Khonshu then becomes big. And I love the battle of them, like 2 kaiju in the back, just going at it.
Yeah,
while
that was great.
Mark and Steven are battling Harrow, and it just so.
It was very well edited, but I was surprised we never got the reveal of the third personality, which we all knew was there. Because sometimes he would blank out and both of them looked at each other and went, what did you do? And he'd be like, no, he didn't do that. He's obviously saying he didn't do that. And we saw the room in the hospital with the red coffin that we never got into. Like, don't go into there. But somehow there was just like a mental block. Yeah, you can't go in there. But from the comics, there is a third. And I'm guessing that means we're going to get a second season by the way they left it.
I don't think so. Do you not? Yeah, the interviews that I saw with Ostriger Isaac was basically, no, he loved the character. He loved visiting in the world. But he believed that the series itself, that was it. So.
Well, that sucks. So we're never going to get to see him.
I hope that we'll see a revisiting of him and even Layla within, at some point within there, like popping into a story or something like that. But yeah, I don't believe that there is going to be any more actual Moon Knight series. Now, maybe we'll get a movie.
Oh, that's disappointing. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, because I think between him showing that he could do it and so convincingly, oh my gosh, his different personalities, especially in episode 5, where we see how it comes about. I mean, what a heartbreaking episode. I mean, that was tonally, it made complete sense and it fit within the show, but it was like, whoa, here we are, we're in this hospital now, and you're like, what the crap is going on? And it makes me go for almost the entire episode, like, maybe this is all in his head. I mean,
this is what's been happening.
Yeah. Because you see, I mean, it's almost like Usual Suspects, as they show around the room and he sees different things, and you're like, oh, well, that was influencing that, and that was influencing that. But on the flip side, it could be like, well, that's how he's rationalizing in this little breakdown that he's having, that, oh, well, we're going to put these, this pyramid over here, or this little statue over here. And so well executed. I mean, it really was. I was a couple days late to the episode, so it was really hard to avoid the spoilers before going into it. But, yeah, I would love more of it. Yeah, like you. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, that's everything I've got to talk about for the best thing I watched this week.
Cool. Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
That's that's all I got too. I had hoped I would have one more, but I didn't get a chance to finish it, so I can't say how it actually ends up. So I will keep it off the list. But hey, what are some of the things you watched this week? What are the best things really that you watched this week? If it's poo, we don't really need to know about that. But you can more than happy to read what you share with us in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, me, Chris with Movies and Munchies. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/thebeardedones. We'll also link it in the description below. We're also going to be dropping a sample video for you where we are ranking all of the MCU movies, and it's just a taste of what we do on our Patreon, where you get exclusive access to other videos. You can always please tweet at us if you want at Best We Watched. And if you want the full audio versions, or if you're just going around in your car or through you're working out or whatever, and you want something to listen to, you can listen to the Best Thing We Watched on podcast. And wherever you happen to grab your podcasts, you can listen to us there. We're available on, I think, just about every single platform. So we hope you'll give us a try that way as well. If you do, rate and review us on that also. With that, I think we're done. We'll see you next week.